advisors to move beyond the usual piecemeal, transaction-based selling to a more integrated and comprehensive wealth and financial advisory service. He has spent 17 years as a licensed financial advisor, providing fee-based business and personal financial planning services to companies and individuals. He has also been actively involved in financial counseling. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. Tay. Mr. Tay will be sharing with us financial planning for the business owners, something we all look forward to hearing from Mr. Tay.
Thank you. Am I on? Okay, very good. Very good afternoon. I consider it a great honor and privilege to take the platform in this special conference. My name is TG. Usually I introduce myself as with my initial. And very easy to remember what I'm going to share with you. I always tell my audience that if they thank God every day, they cannot forget. Okay? I know the afternoon session is one of the most challenging time for any speaker to deliver any message. But I want you to tell your neighbor next to you that the next 45 minutes, if you can catch something precious, I can assure you it's going to more than pay for the cost of this conference. Okay? Are you ready? Financial planning for business owner. Over the last 9 months or so, if there's one headline that best describes what the whole world has experienced, it is this headline. Excuse me. Oh, yeah. Okay. Hell in Asia. And I know all of you know what has happened. Unthinkable, unimaginable things have happened. The top 5 well-known investment banks literally almost disappeared overnight. And they came up with a new currency. Have you seen this? Oh dear. Literally, when you really look at the desperate measures taken by the Federal Reserve, the US Treasury, up to now, I believe not many people are still wondering where exactly is the root of this problem. Eh? And out of this crisis, there's something that's very, very important that has been breached. And that is the broken trust. Totally shaken among the banks, even governments, and of course, as advisors, you and the clients. And what is this broken trust? In the recent report by Merrill Lynch, the World Wealth Report, okay, the spotlight on this World Wealth Report excuse me, do you think you can change the cutlass? Okay. I want you to note the spotlight that is in this report. It says more than a quarter of the high net worth individual clients surveyed withdrew assets from their wealth management firm or left that firm altogether in 2008, primarily due to a loss of trust and confidence. And then in our own Business Time article, where's the click? Okay. Sorry, yeah. Okay. All right. This article that appeared in our own Business Time, loss of clients' trust, how this credit crunch has spawned perception gulf, and the post find that most wealth managers underestimate the loss of this client trust, resulting in 2/3 of the sector's client base now up for grabs. So There you are. The market is there for you to tap. Sorry. Okay. It's not all doom and gloom, my friends. I'm here to bring you some good news and hope. Because I am very convicted that one of the most neglected market that financial advisors have yet to tap is the business market. Okay? And I'm sure all of you are familiar with this book by Robert Kiyosaki, Cash Flow Quadrant. I'm not going to point to the various quadrants, but I just want to highlight to you a very important statistic. You know, most of you, let's say you're on the left-hand quadrant, employee and self-employed, and the right-hand quadrant are the business owner and the investor. But note this very important statistic, okay? 80% of the world population owns 20% of the world's wealth. Some say even less than 20% on the left quadrants. But it's the right quadrant that only have 20% of the world's population, but they own 80% of the world's wealth. So where should you be focusing your target market? And this is, again, a statistic that was quite surprised myself when I found out. 103,000 SME, small, medium enterprises in Singapore, comprising 92% of all businesses. When I graduated from the university, I started out in a bank, in the credit department of a local bank, doing real estate financing and small, at that time was small industry financing scheme. Now it's a SME financing. And spent 1 year in the Forex department before I moved on to an offshore bank to do private banking. And it was at this time that I was kicked out, literally kicked out of the bank. I was retrenched at the lowest point of my life, right in the midst of a financial crisis. I lost 350,000 speculating in the stock market. By June 1986, I have 2 judgment debt. By September 1986, I was given the ultimatum. If you don't pay up, we will make you a bankrupt. And you know what was the miracle? I was retrenched. And out of this retrenchment, they paid me $17,000, which they didn't have to pay me anything at all, because I was not even a confirmed officer. And so it was at that point where I felt I was pushed up to do some management consultancy, ended up doing some acquisition, takeover of companies, and then a property agency. And it was through that 3.5 years, closing a few acquisition, takeover deals that helped me wipe off my mountain of debt. And I really thank God for that. And it was in 1990 that I met my friend, Benny. And at that time, he was sharing with me his plan to come out of a tight agency and to do broking and fee-based planning. And I was trying to figure out what exactly he was talking about. I'm a trained accountant. I learned about trust, estate planning, Company Act, Income Tax Act, what have you. And I just cannot imagine how would anybody want to pay you a fee to do the planning. Anyway, I make the decision to start out with him. Spent 3 months trying to understand this business market, because that was my background, and understand what financial planning is all about. And then I met my first client, a client that I had not seen in a bank for the last 10 years. And so we went for lunch. I started sharing with him what I'm doing now about this area of personal financial planning, estate planning, and so on. So when we went back to his office, I was so surprised when he said, okay, what are the information you need to know? And I was really literally caught unprepared. Anyway, I gathered some information, went back, did some planning, and came up after some help from my partner, Benny. I gave him a proposal for a keyman insurance. He accepted my proposal, the premium, 5 figures. Went through the checkup, everything cleared, nothing happened. And then one day he called me up, say, okay, at that time I was known as my Chinese name, Tian Guan. Say, I'm ready to take up the policy, but my father said, can you give discount? I said, oh dear. And straight away, I thought I've lost this case. And I was prepared to even bear the medical costs. And I just told him politely, no, I just want to do a professional, honest job. And at that time, we are not allowed to give any discount. And I told my partner that, okay, this one I'll be prepared to bear the medical costs. And 1 week later, he called up. Can you please come and collect the check? You know what's the difference? The difference is because I offer not just to sell him a key man insurance, but I offer to do the overall planning for him, right up to the execution of his will. But that's not the end of the story. 3 years later, he came back, and I sold him another policy for critical illness. And this time, he didn't even open his mouth at all to ask for a discount. 3 years later, I did another review of his case, and this is where the fact-finding comes in, because he is the favorite son of the father, and the father just passed away, two families. And so this time when I did a review, I sold him another 3 million key man policies. And so there's a lot of quality potential business in the business market. Okay, and so I want you to open wide your ears. Hopefully you can catch something that will propel you to have a breakthrough in this market. So this is another one of my favorite case studies. When I met this client, it was 1 year after I did a talk at an association. Okay, and he said, okay, now I'm ready to see you. Can you come and talk to me? So we did some fact-finding, and this is the background of this client in his mid-60s. As you can see from the financial details, his net worth is about 100 million. Asset under management by 4 private bankers, 10 million. And I discover he has some key man insurance under one of the companies for up to 3 million. Cash in bank, 2 million. Still very active. Net income every year, average about 2 million. 4 companies owned by the family. So when you look at a case like this, if you are there to just push another product or key man insurance for that matter, what do you think are your chances? And this is where you need to know how to break in. Because after all the fact findings, to cut the story short, I ended up selling him the biggest policy I ever sold in my career. For the husband and wife, I collected an annual premium of 430,000. Thank God. And that's not the end of the story, because I went on to look at the children and the grandchildren, and in total, I collected a premium of close to 500,000 just on one family alone. That is the potential of this business market. Excuse me. So, in order to break into the business market, you need to understand the business market. What is there in the business market, so that you can speak the language of the market. And so the basic foundation that you need to know is to understand the different business structure, which I believe most of you would have an idea how it works. So I will not go into the details. And then you need to know the key. Sorry. Excuse me. Okay. You need to know the key to the business financial health. And one of the key lessons that businesses learn too late in this crisis is that of cash flow. It's not just cash, but cash flow, can I say, is king. Okay? And it's a very simple concept. I'm sure all of you understand. You know, if the cash inflow is less than the outflow, then you have a negative cash flow. But if your cash inflow is more than the outflow, you will have a positive cash flow. But in the business arena, you need to know more than just a simple negative and positive cash flow. You need to understand how the cash flow, starting from the way the business operates. If it's a manufacturing firm, for example, you start with purchases, then you purchase the raw material, and then you may enjoy credit from the suppliers, and then you put into work in progress before it comes into, together with the labor, wages and overhead, before it come into finished goods, and then you go to sell the finished goods. Okay, and so this is a big cycle, process, sales, and then from sales to trade debtors before it comes back to cash. So to appreciate the risk that a business is facing, you need to understand the different kind of cash flow for different industry. If you are to break into this market, and you have to do real planning for businessmen. So for a manufacturing company, it's the kind of cash flow cycle that you have seen just now. You know, for a trading company, again, it's a different kind of risk, especially if they are in imports and exports, LC, trust receipt, and so on. What are the risks involved? So that you can identify those risks and use one of the most powerful instruments that's in your hand, and that is insurance, to cover and cushion those risks. And so again, for the property company, it's a different ballgame altogether again. There's a lot of risk when you do a property project, okay, from the start before to the finish. And so it's important for you to understand how this cash flow. And then, of course, service company and, of course, other very specialized project. So it pays for you to really understand some of these various industry, and there's a lot of information on the internet alone for you to tap into this area, okay?